The most courageous act is to still think for yourself aloud. Coco Chanel. Hey, friend. Welcome back to Through Her Lens with Nita B. And today we're talking about something that feels harder than ever, owning your voice in such a noisy world. Because let's be real, the internet is loud. Everyone has an opinion that they think matters. Every feed is flooded, and it can feel like the only way to be seen is to be the loudest, the trendiest, and the most controversial. But here's the truth: you don't have to fight the noise. You just have to stay true to yourself and own your voice. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You've had moments where you second guess yourself, right? You wanted to post, but then you thought, nobody cares what I have to say. That doesn't sound polished enough. Or maybe you finally did post, but then you found yourself stuck in that comparison trap, comparing your message to someone else's highlight reel, and suddenly your voice didn't feel good enough. That cycle right there, it keeps many of us silent. And silence is the easiest way to stay invisible in an algorithm driven world. And trust, I know that silence all too well because I've lived it. I've hid behind the brand names: Juan Mo's World, More Than a Mother, Chanel for Life, even the S for L lens, before I was fully ready to step into Nita B. Now, don't get me wrong, those brands were and are powerful, but they were safe. They let me share without putting me fully out there. And it wasn't until I started speaking from my own voice, not just behind a name, that I really began to connect with people. And that's when I realized your voice is your value. It's easy to play small, to dim your light. It's easy to play it safe. It's comfortable to play it safe. But when you step out of that safe zone, when you start to own your voice, when you start to own your rightful position, that is where you truly feel empowered and find your power. Now, don't get me wrong, these brands are powerful. And I found that stepping from behind the brand, showing my face, connecting with the people, that is where the community really was built. Because people want to know the person behind the content, they want to know the person behind the talent. They want to put face to a voice, face to a message, and connect with you. That is the power of social media, the power of the world that we're living in right now, the power of this algorithm driven world. That is why you see so many people go viral from sharing their stories, from telling all their business. But if you're like me, you're like, that's not for me. I'm not one that's willing to get out here and share every intimate detail of my life and share all of my business just to connect, just to quote unquote go viral, get the views. No. But what I am willing to do is connect, to build community, to focus on engaging community, because that right there lasts, it has longevity. And as we talked about in prior episodes, community is really where it's at. That is what's long standing. So when it comes to owning your voice online, you have to really know who you are, know the position you want to come from, and fully own that. You have to put your blinders on, stay focused, keep looking ahead, and stay true to you. Because it's so easy to look around at what everyone else is doing. It's so easy to try and copy and paste what you see someone else doing. But that copy and paste, that doesn't work because it's not your voice. You can be inspired, you can draw inspiration, you can see what works for others, but you can't copy paste. You can pick up on things that work, you can implement them into the things that you do, but the copy paste journey, it gets you nowhere. You have to be true to you and you have to own your voice. Now, if you've been holding back, if you're lost, if you don't really know where to start, let me give you some ways that you can start to own your voice. The first thing you have to do is pick your lane. You can't be everything to everybody. Choose your perspective, the expertise, draw on your knowledge base, and speak to that thing. That story right there, that's your story. That's the thing that you can speak to. And once you identify what you can speak to, how you want to show up, you own it. And then people will start to know you for it, love you for it, and come to you for it. The next thing you want to do is repurpose with intention. Don't have to constantly create every day. You don't have to come up with new ideas every day. You start with one core message. Whatever that message is, you start with it and you double down on it. Whether you're doing it through photos, carousel posts, a podcast, a blog, a video, TikTok lives, Instagram lives, however you're doing it, you pick that lane and you let it ripple across the platforms. You pick that message and you drive that message down. That way, your voice, it stays consistent. People start to know you, start to like you, start to trust you, and the algorithm, it starts working for you. Because again, this social media world is so big. The internet is so big. You have to narrow down your message so your people can find you. You have to own your part of the algorithm. Now, I don't know if you saw that video of Lizzo speaking a few weeks back about how things are so different out here now for the artists, just the way that music is exposed to everyone, the way that people get exposed to things, that artists can be putting out new music and can be doing new things that a lot of people never know about because they're not exposed to it on their side of the algorithm. So now you're seeing artists, publicists, and teams that are stepping up, that are coming from behind the art, starting to show their real life. As Lizzo said, she started her Lizzo in real life page so that people could start to connect with her and she could start to own her part of the algorithm and cater to her core fan base. And that is really where the power lies now in finding your fan base and finding your community as a public figure, as an artist, as a content creator. Finding your community is more powerful than it could ever be. Like the Chanel for Life community, where people know these days that if you want to keep up with the latest with Nelly and Ashanti, you come to Chanel for Life. People are like, how do you pull all this content without insider access? How are you doing all this? It takes time, it takes energy, it takes a lot of resources, but it gets done. And you become that go to source. And that is what you want to become in your area. Whether you are a content creator, a public figure, an artist, whoever you are, you have to come from behind the content and become that go to, that connection to form that community and to engage your community. You want to become that go to for that message so that people know if I want to know this, then I need to go to you. And you also want to prioritize connection over performance. So you stop measuring your worth by likes. You start measuring it by the conversations you have, by the impact you make, by the impressions that you leave with people, by the messages that you leave behind with people, because you want people to come back again and again. And the way that they do that is through the engagement, through the conversation, through the connection. That is how people start to know your voice and they start to cut through the noise and know where to go for what and to whom. And you want to be that person that they go to. You want to be known as that source of information that people can come to, rely on, feel seen, feel heard, and connect. So let me ask you, where have you been silencing yourself? Is it in your business, your relationships, your friendships, online, where you feel like your voice may get drowned out? And taking it a step further, what would happen if you finally decided to speak anyway? If you finally decided to show up anyway? To stop trying to sound like everyone else and just show up as you? And what's the worst that could happen? Or, matter of fact, what's the best that could happen? So, friend, your voice is one thing that nobody else can duplicate. They can paste you. They can copy you, they can imitate you, they can try to be you, but no one can be you but you. And when you own your voice, when you own your platform, when you own your space, everything shifts. The community forms, the algorithm adjusts, and the noise starts to fade because you're locked in, you're focused, and you're doing you. If you're finally ready to step into your lane and build something that lasts, then let's work together. I'll help you turn your story into connection and your voice into a platform. So let's get to work. Let's do it. And until next time, I want you to remember this. You don't have to be the loudest to be heard. You just have to show up and be you.